You did great, brother. This is a lot of fun. I love these conversations that we have. And I know you and I were kind of like not diving down the rabbit holes too far in a couple of those topics because we can definitely make it about one thing versus the other. I like it. It was a very cool introduction. What is your feelings towards this idea that we were talking about in connecting with humans and that energy around it? Do you feel there's something that drives you spiritually every day that you really tune into? Or is this just an idea of like you're just naturally built this way?
You know what? I think it comes in both ways sometimes, right? I think part of it was just sort of my upbringing, and again, um, having like again, my grandmother is probably my greatest source of
Mine too.
influence and energy and guidance, right? And so, she's still like my Obi-Wan Kenobi to this day. I try to think, okay, what would make her proud, or what is the challenge ahead, and how would she navigate that, or tell me how to navigate things. So it's kind of ingrained deep, and sometimes I don't always know where the energy comes from, honestly. Some days are
I'm with
harder
you on
than
that.
others,
No, I'm with you on that. My grandmother sat me down on her 92nd birthday and we had a talk. And I didn't know we were going to have a talk. We were at a family gathering and she asked me to drive her home. And I'm like, let me get the family. We'll take you home. She goes, no, no, I want you to take me. And I'm like, okay. And we sat there and this person said things to me. I don't even remember what she said, but she brought through this energy and I could feel it. I had always had it in me and it was shining so bright. And all she wanted to know in her heart was that my heart was aligned. And she said, I know there's a lot of growth, a lot of things you're going to go through. But she also talked to me about it was her time to go. And she was so comfortable with it that it kind of resonated in a way like you have a certain period of time that you get to come here and play. Enjoy it. Because when you get to the place where she was, her friends were gone, her husband was gone, she was ready to go. And we get into this struggle, in our 30s and 40s of moving so fast. And we forget that time is like scooting off the clock so quickly. I'm at 55. I have to relate to this at this point. I looked at my wife and we've been married for over 30 years. And I said, we don't have that much time until we're done. We're going to end up being married longer now than we will for where we're going. So we need to, we are in great place, her and we've grown into, just a beautiful way of being around each other and living and growing together. But there's no more time to waste with drama and ridiculousness when you're seeing it that way.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like the world moves so quick right now. And again, I think a friend of mine told me one time, he's like, attitude is what you bring. And it's one of those things. It's also a switch or a choice, right? If you bring a good attitude, even if you're having a hard day,
Yeah,
whatever it is, like maybe it's something with health, maybe it's something with, a storm hit your house and you're dealing with that, right? All these different things. But if you still come in with a good frame of mind and say, okay, despite all of the things I've got going on today, I'm going to show up for anyone who's in front of me and beyond, and just have an attitude. And then once you kind of live in that space, then, your hard day with all the other things isn't as hard. You figure it
true.
out,
Yep.
and then the people show up as they need to. Things get repaired, things get rebuilt.
Well,
But
and you
it's
can
it's
you
it's it's
you
a
gave the
thing,
roadmap earlier. You said that, that morning routine that you go to as well. And I think that when we're in our day, we sometimes fall into the equation of life and we're not being the representatives that we're supposed to be carrying ourselves in as, let's say the experiencers. And it's really hard to hold your value as the experiencer if you don't have morning time for yourself in some way to start your day. If you're kind to yourself, then you can be kind to others. And I got to imagine that somewhere in the middle of your day when things go going a little haywire, you look back to that morning coffee and that walk and say to yourself, like, hey, we don't need to get out of hand here. I can work through this. I'm going to get back to that next reset. I can find my balance in it.
yeah. I think that's the trick. If Because I see people that go hard all the time. They're constantly on the job and they can never detach from that. And so then I feel like all the pressure continues to mount and continues to mount, and then they lose their energy. They lose the edge to their game and how they operate. And then you can see that's where like that burnout, right? You see a lot of people burning out
Yeah.
these days. I think it always happened, but it's you got to find a little
We're
bit
more
of that
aware of it
time.
now. Yeah, I mean, in the idea of the push of health and self wellness and things of that nature. And for me, it's a very mathematical thing. You're either living in cortisol or you're living in dopamine.
Right.
and you choose.
with
It's our
caffeine in
choice.
between.
Yeah, yeah, a little jump on the caffeine, but the truth is you choose. You're either gonna see what's in front of you as a challenge to overcome and then to be, your best self in, and you can look at yourself and say, right now it's rough. I'm going down into this swell. I'm gonna have to get back up out of it. But it's really how you maintain your momentum. I call it your mental momentum, where you really keep your frame of mind in that place. And then you find you're up on the other side of that swell, or you got over
Hmm.
that ramp and you're able to make that jump. And you get back and you realize, like, I didn't do that. Something was there for me to help me through that. I just need to allow that space for that to be a part of it. And the more I do that, the more I realize, like, this thing around me is literally happening for me. It's not happening to me, and I can actually enjoy being, the producer of the play. And I love all the characters because I put them there. Those things that are irritating you or causing you pain signals, those are probably mirror reflections of yourself that you need to look into that person and realize, like, in yourself, you see that same thing. And that's the work to be done. That's your path of going in and trying to figure out where is that echo from? Why is it still resonating with me? And why am I still driving home angry at every car every night and not enjoying the fact that I'm in this vehicle listening to music in an age, in a day that we have technology that we absolutely benefit from as tools. And it's funny, you could have had to ride home on a horse a long time ago. And now you have this other, but yet we still somehow get in between that and create these friction points because we live off of them as the moderated energy and the way things should feel. I had a sleep apnea problem for a lot of years. I didn't know it. I thought this is the way humans felt. I thought they were always exhausted in the morning. I thought we needed these stimulants. I didn't realize that I wasn't sleeping well. And once I was identified and went through all the process and got the machine and started sleeping with the sleep machine, oh my gosh, I gained back 3 hours in every day. I'm almost 4. My life became a completely different model. I'm able to have time now to go to the gym and all these things because I don't have to sleep so much just to feel normal. And yet I didn't realize that there was anything in me not working right. And so this becomes a self-assessment to me. It's like you've got to create these benchmarks in your life where you can assess yourself, take some stock, and then realize, like, this is just a continual model that's going to keep doing this to you. And it's your job to go in there and find these repetitive actions that are stimulating negative responses or responses that are taking you in a direction that you don't wish.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing is to also find variety, right? You don't want to get into such a routine that it just becomes automatic and you're robotic. Mix it up.
Yep.
Try new
Yep.
things
Yep.
daily. Talk with new people daily, and also keep up with those people that there's a great artist, Espo. He had this great billboard in New York City, and it said, stop having relationships with people that only make withdrawals. Start relationships with people that also make deposits. And I thought it was like a brilliant thing. So again,
Yeah.
if you're surrounding yourself with people that aren't supporting your own energy levels and vice versa, it's give and take. Make that time, find that value, but also steer clear of the stuff that's just going to drag you down.
Yeah.
Like
Well, like you said, play. Got to play every day too. All work
it's
and no
true.
play makes Johnny a dull boy. I'll leave you with this. I'll leave you this last analogy I love to say to myself all the time. The greatest adventures that people say they had and they completed, they always start the conversation the same way. And they said, it didn't happen exactly the way I expected. And so I say, why do we wake up every day and expect anything? Why not just set aside the time and do the best you can in it? So if the phone calls are late, they're late. If you weren't where you thought you needed to be, you're supposed to be where you're at. And if you're going to put in the 8 a day, put in the 8 a day with this momentum in your mind that you're growing and you're gaining from it, and it will grow and gain. If you're just trying to get it out of the way to get to the next day, to get out of the way to get to the next day, to get out of the way to get to the Friday, to have this 12 hours in your weekend that you're going to find a magnificent recharge from, it's never going to happen. It has to happen within these days. And so that's helps me a lot when I start getting in these I need to do, I need to do, I need to do mindsets. And I say to myself, like, none of that's relative. All of it's going to happen the way it's supposed to happen. And so really take a deep breath, start your project. And if it leads you into another project, so be it. Go back to the other project when you have to. It doesn't have to be in this format where I can't take the phone call right now because I'm in this project. If you're allowing your life to be under that much control factors, you're not allowing the energy around you to also be a part of it. And I think when we start to go into it with this ideal of not holding on as much as we're going to allow things to happen, you start to find like there's like this etherical team out there that starts to align your phone calls the right way. Something magically happens and the plane readjusts itself, whatever, you're on time. Before you know it, the client's giving you a referral, even though they didn't sign. And you start to realize, like, oh, it's literally not about me doing any of this. It's just about me being the best I can be and being a part of it.
That's it. Go with the flow, right?
All right, man. We'll talk soon. I love you. Take care.
All right, brother. Take care, my friend. See you later.